Okay, so now let's start getting into some of the real meat and potatoes of scaling. I'm going to give you some really good examples of, scaling your business, how to apply numbers into your business the correct way, so on and so forth. So let's kind of start with that. When I see businesses, and I've worked with many businesses over the last, several years now, and one of the big issues that I always see is don't even know their numbers. So my question is this, if I ask you that question right now, do you know what that is? Do you know what your numbers are in your business? Do you know what your profit margins are? Do you know what it costs total to operate your business for a quarter, for a month, for a year? What your tax bracket is? What you end up with free and clear at the end of the year net? These are questions that you have to know. And I'm going to give you a couple examples of a couple of different businesses that I worked with. I won't name who these businesses are, but I'm going to give you a couple of good examples of really how the focus sometimes it just gets to be too much on the service or product and not enough on the business aspect side of the house of things. Okay. And here's the first example I'm going to give you is I worked with a small plumbing company, and I went in and I spent about 5 or 6 hours in this company. And my first question was, what is your best selling product? And this was a plumbing company. So one of their best selling products that they work with in this plumbing company is replacing hot water heaters, which is it's a huge industry, very big industry. So I started asking him some very pinpointed questions. Some of the first questions I asked him were, how much does a hot water heater cost you to buy it yourself as a plumbing company in a wholesale mode, or do you even have that ability? And the answer was X number, and they didn't even have the ability to buy wholesale. Well, ding, 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 problem number one. If you're selling a physical product, you should not be buying it off the shelf, trying to repackage it with a 10% profit. Get yourself fixed in wholesale for whatever that product is. Better yet, if you can, factory direct, and your margins will be much, much deeper. Okay, so that was the first question. And then, what does it cost to install? How many do you install per year? What is your employee cost in relation to just installation of this particular item? How much is your rent for your building, heat, lights, water, so on and so forth? I used all of that information as a vessel to turn around and start deducting numbers. Okay. He charged, I believe it was like $1,400 to do an install with labor included, all of it, new water heater, $1,400 to send somebody and do an install of a brand new hot water heater plus discard the old one. So we started, he had a great big huge whiteboard in his office, and we started writing these numbers down. And then I asked him another simple question. What are your top three competitors in this space as plumbing companies? What are your top three competitors doing installs of hot water heaters for? How much are they charging? His answer just really blew my mind, shocked me. And he said, I don't know. So I hopped on the internet. I typed in plumbing companies in the area, pulled three plumbing companies up, and right in front of him, I called each company. Company number one, I asked them for a basic quote, ballpark quote. They said $2,500 with install and haul away of the old one. Next one said like 2,300. Next one said 2,400. So they were all within a very good price range of each other, except for him. $1,400. He's $1,000 off. And he was just blown away by that. because he had no idea, which is just asinine as a company if you don't know what your competitors are doing. That's crazy. Okay. So in other words, or back to the original part of this was I started taking all these numbers and deducting them out. And to really keep a long story shorter, at the end of deducting all those expenses, the hot water heater itself, deducting that from the $1,400, deducting the labor he had to pay, deducting a piece of, the light bill, the heat bill, the water bill, taxes, rent on the building, so on and so forth, in, in according to how many he sold for the whole year, he was literally installing hot water heaters for negative $100. He was losing $100 every time he installed a hot water heater. And that's why I often say there's so many businesses are so blind to the business side of things. You get so caught up and focused. For just in this example, he got so caught up, so focused on the install, the plumbing aspect of it, he forgot to pay attention to the business aspect of it. Okay. And that's knowing his numbers. I'm sure we could have ran, for toilet installs and this and that and the other. And we would have came with a lot of the same numbers. The only reason he was doing any decent number of business is because he was contracted for all the homes in this brand new development, and he did all that work for them. So that's the reason he was really doing really well on the contract side, but his service side was just a money dump. It was a money suck because he was not getting his numbers done correct. It was absolutely horrible. Okay, so, and I really helped him with a very simple approach to fix that problem. Obviously, we changed his install prices for, we came in at like $2,250, so we were beating all the competition. Plus, he's now putting money in his pocket when an install happens. Number two, we helped him scale by simply creating a checklist to send his plumbers in on every single job. It was like a 5-point checklist that they would use going into a home. So knock on the door. Hey, this is Jim. We're here to fix your water heater, change it out, and haul away your old one. Before we get started doing that, though, we'd like to run a 5-point inspection list on your entire plumbing system to make sure everything is working properly. Well, guess what? Think about that. Upsell, upsell, upsell. So they inspect plumbing in the house, find a little leak here or there. Everybody has that ugly leak in the back of their refrigerator, usually after many years. First place to look, fix that. There's extra money. Downstairs, look at the plumbing for washing machine. Seems to be a small leak there. Fix that. Toilet needs recaulking. Fix that. The next thing you know, that $2,250 now just turned into $25. A couple extra $100 worth of business was just gained that would have never been had. Okay, so these are the things you have to really think about in your business, knowing your numbers, knowing your tax rates, knowing your gross versus net. Okay, know these numbers. Okay, what are they? Another example would be, I think I talked about this earlier in the training, and it was a cake company. And they're total by happenstance, I ended up working with this owner. It was my son's birthday, and we went to this custom cake shop, and they were really pretty expensive cakes. But they had the right angle. They played the right angles when it came to custom cake. We have custom ingredients, so on and so forth. We customize it especially for your son's birthday, and the cake was beautiful. It was awesome. But one of the first things I noticed walking in there was there was like 4 staff up front doing nothing, absolutely nothing. So here again, this goes back to knowing your numbers. So she's paying, I believe she had 12 or 13 employees. By the time we rocked all these numbers out, when it comes to hours needed, so on and so forth, she could have easily cut away 3 to 4 employees and do that math. If you do that math at minimum wage, 10, 12 bucks an hour, that equates to quite a bit of money every single month. So knowing your numbers is extremely key to your success as a business owner, and you really got to get that part right. So take your business, break it down into all of your expenses, make sure that what you're charging a customer for a product is creating decent profit margin. Okay, bare minimum profit margin should be 25 to 40%. If you're not hitting those numbers as minimum, you need to relook at, how you're sourcing, where you're getting your product, how you can raise price, how you can reduce cost, whatever the case may be, because that profit margin has to make sense. I mean, who wants to work an entire year and have $5 million in sales, but then only take home 50 grand because your numbers are so off? Okay. So look at these numbers, take these numbers, run them on a spreadsheet, and make sure that you are hitting the profit margins that you need to hit and you're taking home a decent percentage from your business every year.